Let's talk about Sophia, because she starred in The Godfather 3 with Andy, and I've never seen press like that. I've never seen anything so vitriolic and horrible about how she'd ruined the movie, about how Francis had given her the part and shouldn't have. And then she went on to become this fantastic director. I love her stuff. So, and Stephen said that you guys had met at her. So let's talk about her. Let's talk about her and not the Jewish girlfriend, okay?
Craziest thing is, if you look back on that movie, she's incredible in it, I think. You know?
Yeah, I know, I just watched it.
These guys are awesome. That's what's so bizarre.
Yeah, I never understood the attacks on her in terms of her work as an actress in the movie. I thought she was beautiful in the film. It was great to work with. She was thrown into it like from the shower. She had no ambition to be in the film. She stepped up and like a champ, went at it. And my time with her is fantastic. I loved working with her. And I thought it was unfair, everything that went down regarding Sophia. I knew from the get-go, knowing her even before she even got the part, that she was an extraordinarily talented and sensitive girl with great sense of style and vision and sense of humor, and everything that you see in her movies and everything that she is today. I knew about that when I worked with her. So it was unfortunate the way they treated her. I think she was beautiful in the film. I think she's an extraordinary young lady, extraordinarily beautiful, and I was honored to work with her.
And Stephen, tell us about working with her as a director.
Well, for me, it's like it was a personal thing, and also kind of a change in my life. Sophia kind of gave me. I met Sophia years ago when I'd known Francis from just auditioning and stuff, and I met Sophia while she was doing her first short up at up in Napa Valley, and I was auditioning for The Rainmaker, Francis's film, and then I went on to just as a friend of Sophia's and Zoe Cassavetes. They've always been very close friends, and Zoe was a good friend of mine. Always kind of looked at Sophia and Zoe as my good friends, years later, I hadn't seen Sophia. She had been in Paris, had met a great man and had a baby. And out of nowhere, Fred Roos and Sophia contacted me at a time where I wasn't being offered the leads in those kinds of films, and she really came into my life with a gift with Somewhere, because it really opened up a whole new kind of second wind for me to work with incredible people. So not only is she somebody that I care for immensely as my friend, but as an artist, but she touched my life in a great way at a time where I needed it, because I just lost my mom, and I was in a kind of an awkward place, and that kind of perfect character kind of landed in my lap. It's kind of the great thing about this business is a few times where the business is sometimes great when you get a part, or it's great when you win something, but that one was like a double whammy. It was like, wow, it was like the perfect time, like the perfect character at the perfect time in my life, and it all just kind of fit like glue. So, yeah, I love Sophia. So.
Okay, I'm going to read a quote from Andy that he gave me years ago and tell you how this quote grew into like this totally cockamamie story. I said to him, we were at the Sheraton, I forgot what movie, and I said, I heard you were a twin. He said, where did you hear that? And I said, I don't remember, and then you said, I almost had a twin in real life. I was born with a cyst on my shoulder. My mother told me this story. She has a tendency to exaggerate, but she said it had little arms and legs and hair and everything. Now this could be completely medically untrue, but she told me it was a twin that never developed. I always envisioned that if he had lived, we would have been attached, like that movie How to Get Ahead in Advertising, where he just got an extra head. My mother said it was quite large, the size of a softball. So, okay, Andy said that to me, we printed it, and I remember that it sort of had a life of its own. That quote sort of went. But the other day when I was doing like the search about Andy, it said, Andy Garcia, co-joined twin. Like, what? What the hell? Now you're a Siamese twin?
They even did an episode of like The Simpsons or something like that with me with the head on my shoulder. I don't even know what's medically true if you have a cyst that has like hair and like cartilage and teeth.
I want to say, I'm trying to get, because for a year after that, when I would close my eyes at night, I would see this hairy cyst with legs, and I'd freak out. So I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm sorry. I love you.
I think Howard Stern did like 2 years.
I remember. Well, that was part of it, because I interviewed Howard right after that. He goes, "You're the one who found out about Andy Garcia's twin brother in his shoulder." I don't think that's really what he meant, but
We were promoting a movie where I was playing a twin. It was Steel Big Steel Little, that's why you asked me to play.
Oh, that's right. I'm so glad you remember everything. So talk about independent film, because both of the movies you produced in Middleton. At Middleton, as I said, at Middleton. Okay, he's so picky. You produced that, but it's an independent film, and your film is an independent. Let's talk about the difference between that and a big studio movie where people treat you nicely.
Well, independent movies are independent movies because nobody wants to give you any money to make them.
Right.
You know, the studios, they all pass. So, you know, we show the movies first in the studio because they figure they'll give you enough money to make the movie and to pay the rent and stuff. And then everybody turns you down, and then you're there with your script and you say, okay, what are we prepared to do? So then you go out and try to finagle a cast and try to raise some equity, try to do some pre-sales and you know, make the movie whatever amount of money you're able to scramble together, and hopefully that's enough to get the movie shot. You know, in the case of At Middleton, we made the movie for $2.4 million in 20 days.
Wow.
So,
Well, that is the other difference, is that you can make a movie in 20 days, and that movie looks rich.
yes, Vera and I worked 17 days on our part. No rehearsal, we never even read the script. I mean, we read the script, but we never read it together.
I was going to say that. She came in and said, he said,
No, we never actually had a table read. She came in on Saturday and had a wardrobe test, and we went to work. Just there's no time in those movies. You can't afford to bring in people early. You can't. Everything is a scramble, really. And but the movie looks beautiful because I brought in a cinematographer that I've done 4 movies with, Emmanuel Kadosh from Israel, who's an extraordinary visual artist. And we had a great script. When you have a great script, you know you're always going to attract great actors. You know. And that's the thing about independent movies. Usually the scripts are very good, you know, and you know that people are going to jump in. It's like an off-Broadway play. They want to play the part. They want to be a part of this journey. And we were fortunate to have Vera in it and her sister.
Yeah, Vera's been here at this panel. She said I did not remind her of her Jewish girlfriend. Not at all.
But that's the thing. I think for me, some of the most important work that's been done in the last 30 years has been in the independent film.
Okay, whoever that is, you have to shut it off. You have to. Because we were all like, somebody got an email? We need that.
Also, I think all the movies that I grew up with in the 70s and the 60s, you know, especially one of the golden ages of American cinema in the 1970s, a lot of those movies, if not most of them, which were studio movies, would all be independent movies.
Yeah, the studios would not, exactly.
You know, whether it be Taxi Driver or Mean Streets or even The Godfather would probably be a movie that'd be an independent movie today.
Can you imagine them pitching Taxi Driver now? Yeah, she's 12, and she's sleeping with this guy, he's mentally ill. Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, they're struggling to get made. All those movies, Midnight Cowboy, all those movies would be in independent films struggling to get made. That's the difference in our industry today.
Yeah. Emil, I just forgot his name. I'm going to say Griffith, but he's
Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch stars with you as your brother, and when his first movie played here many years ago, and he was just really astounding in it. And I said, "Oh my God, I think that guy is Stephen Dorff's brother. He looks so much like you." That movie, it's tremendous. Talk about it. What's it like?
Yeah,
I don't know if you were there last night, but it got a great reception in Woodstock last night.
I mean, Emil Hirsch, funny enough, he is a great actor, and he was somebody that I took notice of earlier in his career. We met at a party, and I said, you know, you remind me of me when I was your age, you know, and I said, we'll probably play brothers one day, you know. And so I mentioned that last night in the Q&A, because that's a true story, but Yeah, The Motel Life was a script that, this was an interesting example of, I was traveling with Sophia, we were in Tokyo doing press around the world for somewhere, and which was incredible, and at the same time I had this little movie, The Motel Life, this script, that I really, really loved, and I was really wanting this part of Jerry Lee, and it was a case where the filmmakers didn't really, I could tell they didn't really want me in the role, and I was kind of like, geez, I just got this movie with Sophia, all these reviews are coming, I was offered all these movies, it was kind of a renaissance time for me, and the one I wanted, they were, it's interesting when you meet filmmakers, you can always tell if it's a courtesy meeting and they kind of, want to meet you just to, kind of appease the studio or the agents, but it's another thing when they see that you're the person for the role, and I knew that they didn't see me in this role, but I didn't really want to give up because it was the best script I'd read since somewhere, so I was even complaining to Sophia about it on our press thing. I was like, why won't these two new filmmakers pay attention? What the hell's wrong? I'm supposed to play this part. Ultimately, I got back to LA from that trip, and I went in and met them, and I knew I wanted the role, so I went in and I met with Emil, who had been cast first, and with the filmmakers, and I realized I needed to show a glimpse of the character to them so they could see something in the room, because they are first-time filmmakers. And then I thought, and maybe I can see if they're any good too by what I get from them in the room. And so what I liked about that was in this work session and kind of leaving the egos at the door and the agents that are saying, you don't need to go and do that. Well, yeah, I do if I want to play that part. And I did want to play the part, and I think the movie is one of the best movies I've ever made, and I'm excited about it. It comes out November 8th. It's we won the Rome Film Festival, which was awesome, in December. Last night was the first time I've ever shown it to an American audience, so it's nice to be in Woodstock, and it was a really nice reception. But yeah, I'm sidetracking. Help me.
No, this is what we do here.
But anyway, yeah, so
I
to
think
answer
the
your
question
question,
was,
Emil is an amazing actor.
No, that wasn't my question.
That's
My
great.
question was, what's it? Whatever. My questions go nowhere anyway.
Yeah. But that was, I went into kind of what it's like to fight for a role, and that wasn't really the question. But anyway.
That's good. I should have asked that question. I should have. And next time I will. And Andy, would you like to talk about that?
About fighting for a role?
Yeah.
Actually, the first, it's a little bit of a, maybe it's not so long-winded, we'll see. Cut me off. I just said, when I say Emil Hirsch, that's the end of it.